Hey, this is Randy with Modern Geek, Ancient Greek. My message this week is Ephesians 5, verses 22 to 33, which is the last part of chapter 5, and then also Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 9. And I've got four things that I wanted to point out. Again, I've thoroughly enjoyed translating this. I'm certain that my translation has flaws in it, but I have learned so much translating this. The first thing that I want to point out is it's verses 21 and 22 both. Verse 21 says, being submitted, this is my translation, being submitted to one another in the fear of God. And then verse 22, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as to the Lord. In verse 22, wives, submit yourselves. It's the middle tense, and so it is the wife's responsibility. Nobody gets to make her submit. She does that between her and God alone. The word submit is hupotasomenoi, which is the present middle. It's a deponent, actually, indicative of hupotasomai. And so it literally means to line oneself up under. In a military sense, it was soldiers who submitted themselves to the next higher in rank. It was also used of slaves submitting themselves to their master. Primarily, this is according to Rogers and Rogers, Cleon Rogers the second and Cleon Rogers the third. Those guys are great. I guess it's a father and son, but I thoroughly love their Greek exposition. Primarily, the idea is of giving up one's own right or will. So, wives, submit yourselves, and it's, again, in the middle, it means the wife, she does it herself. Nobody gets to do it for her. And submit yourselves to your own husbands as to the Lord. Then I want to go down to verse 26. And this is an obscure verse, and the only reason I'm mentioning it is so that perhaps you could look at it and maybe give me some insight if you want to jot a note in the comments below this presentation. The Randy's translation again, so that he might sanctify her. And then here's the obscure part, cleansing her with a washing of water by a spoken word. Let me just go through that. Cleansing is the aorist active participle kathorisas, and it means cleanse. Lutro is the dative for lutron, and it literally means a bath. Hudatos, get the emphasis right, is water. We get our word hydro from that. And then enhremati, which means a spoken word. Hrema is a spoken word. So it is cleansing her, the church, with a washing of water by a spoken word. That has to have some type of Hebrew reference. Jesus talked about, whenever he was talking about in John chapter 15, that the branches are cleansed, that they're pruned back, which also that word cleanse is used for that. In verse 3 of John 15, he told his disciples, now you are clean through the word. But he uses logos, not rhema. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Rhema is a spoken word, so maybe Paul is indeed making reference to this. I don't know. I know that we are saved by the witness that we have. In Revelation, the saints that come through the tribulation period are saved by the word of their mouth, the blood of the Lamb and the word of their mouth. And even whenever we're saved, we're to give verbal witness. So maybe that's what this is speaking about. I don't know. Think about it. If you have any ideas, jot them down in the comments underneath here. The third one, I've got to hurry. The third one is verse 31. For this reason, a man will leave behind his father and mother and will be glued to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. Incidentally, this is almost exactly word for Genesis chapter 2 and verse 24, I think it is. The word that I want to point out is proskalethesetai. It's the future indicative passive of proskalao. And kalao is the word that we get our English word glue from, and it means to bind together, to hold together in the Greek, which is the meaning of the word glue. So proskalao means pros means to or toward, and kalao means to glue together. So it's to be glued to something, and I just love this. The husband and wife are glued together. The last one that I want to mention to you is Ephesians 6:1, and it's also in Ephesians 6:5. Children, obey your parents. Verse 5, slaves, obey those who are your masters. That word obey is hupakuo. And the word is hupakuete, which is present imperative active for hupakuo, and it means to listen under, to place yourself under and listen, and which the word means to obey. Well, that's all I've got. Thanks so much for joining me for this. God bless you.